Sam, right?
Yep.
Come on up, have a seat, please. Go ahead and just move me aside. We can stand while we're going to call it the visitor section today. So, thanks, Patrick. I joined Toastmasters in April of 1993, Heartland Toastmasters over in Topeka, Kansas. And I would love to tell you I stuck with it because I wanted to become a better communicator or great leadership. But the truth is, a friend had been told he needed to go, and I went to support him. He didn't stick with it. I did. Because we met in the basement of a Pizza Hut, and they had a $4.99 buffet. So what I would do is pile all this pizza on my plate and hide, and try not to get called. So we were a new club, had been rechartered after being dormant for some time, so we didn't have very many members. And that's where I learned the first lesson. Because we didn't have very many members, we had many roles. And the first thing you need to do to get the most out of your Toastmasters experience, and I have these written down, I'll pass this out later. The first thing is listen voraciously, or ferociously. Listen as well as you can. If you're new and you're afraid to speak, be the grammarian. You'll learn to listen for language better. Be the timer. You'll be thinking about when did they start their speech? How long was the opening? How long was the body? Did they spend any time on the conclusion? Most people don't. You'll think differently about time. And the worst one is the ah counter. If you become the ah counter, you will go crazy listening to politicians use the ahs and ums. I warn every guest, you'll be ruined for life once you learn how to count for ahs. You guys are already starting to see it, aren't you?
Everywhere.
So the first thing to do is listen voraciously. But not only that, if you're not one of the speaking coaches or evaluators, listen to that speaker and dissect what they're doing. What am I doing well? What am I doing poorly? What could you do that I'm doing? I started to listen to other speakers and say, well, I could do that. That's a pretty cool tip. So listen voraciously. You know, a lot of us think we're good listeners, but Patrick, I've talked to your wife. You're not as good as you think you are. Look at this Patrick over here is going, oh, not even call me. No, but it's true. Listen, listen, listen voraciously. And we had a gal at our club, Maggie Kelly. I've talked about her before. She loved being the ah counter. And she had bought a little piano. So every time someone said ah, or she would ring the bell. Ding, ding. And after my third speech, I woke up in a cold sweat dreaming of Mozart chasing me down the hall. But it broke us. What Maggie would force you to do is listen so attentively. She was the one who forced that listen voraciously, because she would scowl at you if you were the ah counter and didn't ring the bell on time. So listen voraciously. Now, I started doing that, and when I did, I took that back to work, and I could then go to people and say, Dean, I enjoyed your speech because I thought your message was this. And people would be shocked. Oh my gosh, he heard a message in my speech? Because most speakers don't. You want to have a message that's so concise, you can put it on the back of a business card. Business cards used to be blank on the back. But you can write that message on the back of a business card. So I would take this back to work and listen to other speakers. What were my boss's message really trying to get across? And that made a difference to my career. It also made a difference that people started to realize my speeches or my little talks during staff meetings didn't stink. And I started to get noticed for that. But frankly, I wasn't improving that much until I learned that second lesson. Speak with a learning purpose. Speak with a purpose. Not just the message, but what skill are you trying to develop in here? In the old manual, we had 10 assignments, and the 5th assignment was show what you mean. How to use your body, right? Now, I was a finance manager. We did forecasts, budgets, accounting work, right? So this is how our presentation would go. We would use an acetate. Now, this was a form that you could see through. You put it on this light box that then shone on the wall. And she's like, acetate? What's that? All of us old people are like, oh, I know what that is. And the finance guys would always put too much information on this one slide. It was never in focus. And then we would talk about the numbers after telling some stupid joke. We were boring. That's what we're supposed to be. But my show what you mean speech was about my first boxing match. I boxed in high school and college, right? And in my first match, my opponent came at me, "Ugh!" And he looked like he was 10 feet tall. And he was scowling at me, and the crowd was going crazy. And I thought I had made a fool of myself. But that's what they said, give it a try. I knew this was a terrible speech, that everybody was laughing. But my evaluator gave me some pretty good feedback. And the most important feedback I got was when the timer said my speech, which was a 5 to 7 minute speech, was 6 minutes and 52 seconds. A gal sitting right where Robbie is, her name is Sue Anderson, a lobbyist with the Kansas Banking Association, said, "My gosh, I thought your speech went under time." You mean she wasn't bored? That wasn't painful for her to listen to? And it told me that maybe one of my strengths is when I did be more dynamic, when I did get that wingspan going. So the next day at work, that's exactly what I started to do. And within months, they asked me to transfer from accounting to marketing. This was a pet food company or a division of Colgate-Palmolive called Hills. And marketing guys make a lot more money than accountants. I went down 3 levels in the organization and they didn't cut my pay. So when I started getting raises, oh my gosh, the money just started coming in. Because I was doing with a purpose, a learning purpose. So when you're going to give a speech up here, think about what your learning purpose is. Try something different. I wish CJ was here because I'm always joking with her. Be more dynamic. And she's like, that's not me. How do you know? How do you know? Try organizing your speech. I think Jonathan, I gave you some feedback. Be more tighter on your structure. So focus on that. Just say there, I'm going to show that SOB that I can be so structured it's painful. Right? Be that structure. And I talked about the message. Think about what your message is, but also what my learning objective is. That's how you're going to get the most out of Toastmasters. Now, my career progressed. I was doing well. I moved to Richmond, Virginia, and we had this product development group that we were kind of sort of supposed to lead. And these groups always just kind of got together and just chatted. Drove me crazy. And that's the third lesson I learned from Toastmasters. In order to get the most out of your Toastmasters experience, lead with confidence. Now, our visitors may have noticed we start on time. When it was 6 o'clock, Patrick, it's time to start. Right? We will end on time. Everything we do is timed. Why? Because most meetings in the world don't start on time. They don't end on time. You guys have heard me say it. What happens in the middle is a waste of time. So I thought, okay, I'm going to lead with confidence. So what would we do in a Toastmasters meeting? I would send out an agenda ahead of time. In big, bold letters. Billy's going to give us an update on this. Dean's going to give us an update on this. Big, bold letters, so they knew there was hell to pay if they didn't come prepared. Right? That sounds so simple, right? It sounds simple. How many meetings do you go to where there's no agenda? Most of the meetings I went to where there's no agenda. How many meetings do people actually say, this is our mission, this is what we're trying to accomplish? We recite our mission statement at the beginning of every meeting. So lead with confidence. You're going to think, well, I really haven't developed that much skill in that area. Wrong. Just by being here and thinking about it every other week, your leadership skills will have been enhanced. So when I started leading that team, it wasn't long, about a year later, 4 vice presidents asked to just sit in. Why? Because they heard our teams were doing better than all the other teams, and they wanted to know why. And the real reason was we had our objective, we knew what our purpose was, we were done within an hour and a half, and everybody knew what the agenda was. It sounds so simple. The other guys just don't do it. I've been at Toastmasters for 25 years. After I left Richmond, I went to North Carolina and Southern California. I've been up in Eastern Canada. I stay in Toastmasters because I continue to use those 3 lessons, but mostly it's because of the wonderful people. I've talked about the benefits and what's happened to my career, but the greatest thing that's happened is I've made great friends. And I want to thank you for now being part of that Toastmasters family and my friends.